Right. Hi, Chris, and thank you for taking the time today to talk to me about social media. So your name has been given to me by a lot of people, quite frankly, as someone who's been in helping a lot of brokers with the realm of social media, which I know confuses the hell out of a lot of brokers in the marketplace.
Hmm.
So I've got a number of questions I'm going to pose to you, if that's all right. But if you just wouldn't mind just quickly introducing yourself to, in case there's some brokers who are watching this who haven't come across you before.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you for having me on. Really, really do appreciate it. I've got my cup of tea in hand, so I'm not being rude. If you're listening just via sound and you hear slurping, it's me drinking my tea. And I'll talk to you about that and that how tea actually helps business a bit later on. But to give people a bit of a background to who I am, I'm the director of Social for Brokers. And what we do is we provide creative social solutions for mortgage brokers from training, guidance, all the way through to a very done for you service where we create 3 topical branded social media posts for mortgage brokers and upload them to their channels for them. So to give you a bit of a background as to who I am and where I've come from. So I worked in a estate agency for 6 years. So knew the property industry. I've been in property since I was 15, so 20 odd years now in and around property. When I was an estate agent, one of my jobs working for one of the big corporate companies was to put people in front of the mortgage broker. So got to know a lot of people's pain points, how the mortgage process worked, how the sales process worked, and started doing a bit of a night course in web design, and then realized that I could then take those skills over to social media as well. Started to help some mortgage brokers with their social media whilst I was an estate agent, so like an evening and a weekend gig. And then in March 2020, I was put on furlough I'd moved to an independent estate agent and thought, right, let's go full steam ahead on this one. Did a few webinars with mortgage brokers, taught them about social media. Some of the tips are still very relevant today, which I'll speak through. And then the business has grown from strength to strength. So we are now a team of 3. We have an in-house copywriter, an in-house graphic designer, and then myself as well. We're helping more and more mortgage brokers. We've got our podcast, we've got training guides. We help with, if you're a mortgage broker and you need help on social media, then think of Social for Brokers. That's how we would pitch ourselves.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you, Chris. So the first question I'm going to pose to you is when I speak to a lot of brokers,
Mhm.
some social media it seems very scary and they don't know what to do, etc. Do you? And there are some brokers who say, "I don't need to be on social media." Um, so, from your perspective and the people you work with, do you think that all brokers at least should be thinking about social media, and if so, why?
So I would always say, regardless of what stage you are in your mortgage broker business, whether you're starting out or you're coming to the last few years of your journey, especially in the financial services industry, you have to have a social media presence, not just for what we always talk about lead generation, but more for verification. So a lot of people now, where they used to check a website to make sure you were legitimate, they will check social media channels now. So if you're not on social media, it almost puts a bit of a black mark against you. 2, if you have social media and you haven't uploaded for 6 months, say, or 3 months, people then start to question if you're still in business. And that's very important in the financial services industry because it's something that's always in the news, and especially this chat around crypto and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. People are a bit hesitant to put their trust in financial services at the moment. So social media allows you to verify yourself as a business. So I would always say you need to have a social media presence. It's just as important as having a website now.
Okay. I mean, that's interesting because what I've come across, and I'm guilty of this myself. You start off on social media and you do a big blast, and then you get distracted. The world gets busy, as we've seen in the mortgage market. So is there any sort of rule of thumb, if you like, in terms of how often someone should post? Because you said if they haven't posted for 6 months, it might look as though they've gone out of business. So is it something they should be doing every day, every week, every month, or is there any rule?
Well, I'll tell you a story. So, with our social media content, I
Yeah.
used to upload 3 or 4 times a week. Okay. And then what I did last year, in I think it was June time last year, did an experiment. I said, right, if I upload 3 times a day for a month, okay, so 90, I'm going to put 90 different pieces of content out. How would it affect what my audience see? How many people get in touch with me? And it skyrocketed. My engagement levels, my business levels, my lead levels all flew up. So that's the answer. Try and post as much as you physically can. But we understand that you don't have all the time. You've got to be sitting on hold to lenders, you're doing appointments, you're chasing up protection cases, you're getting forms filled out. So what I would say as a rule of thumb is try and upload 3 times per week. And a lot of people might think, oh my God, that's way too much, Chris. But if we break that down, one post a week could be a customer review. So that could be if your network provides you with like feedback forms for your clients, that could be one. Google review, Trustpilot review, those type of things. So that's one post a week. The second one could be a story about what's happened that week. So one of your clients has been told no by the bank, but when they've come to you, you've got a mortgage with that exact same bank. That's a great story to tell. And then the third one can be a personal post, a photo of what you did at the weekend, whether you play golf, rugby, you go to a cooking class, you do archery, whatever it might be. There's 3 posts for you. So when I say 3 posts, it sounds daunting, but when you break it down like that, it can be done on an app for an hour every Monday or whichever day you choose.
Yeah. Okay. And actually, one thing we haven't really started this conversation with, we're talking about social media in a quite a broad sense, is if you just explain the different channels that are available to brokers and which ones you think work best, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the first thing that I would say is if you're going to have a look at all these channels, go and follow us on them because you'll see how the content we upload and the tools that we use. So if you search for social for brokers, which you can see above me here, so social for FOR brokers. Okay. So I'm going to talk through each channel here. Facebook, in my eyes, is still number one for a service-led business, okay, which is a mortgage broker. So I would say if you're going to spend the majority of the time on a platform and you've never done social media before, concentrate on Facebook because it's a community-led platform. And if people interact with your business on Facebook, or you interact with them on Facebook in terms of comments or their content, it's much more likely that their audience will see your business name. Okay. No other platform can give you that kind of reach. Okay. So that's Facebook. You can utilize the likes of Facebook groups as well, which is great for reach of your posts. The second one is Instagram, a great platform for products led businesses because it's all about photos. It's all about those sexy images of things, which very hard to do with talking to people about a mortgage. Can be done, but it's harder. Instagram is great if you're going to be using Instagram stories. So Instagram has 2 parts. You've got the Instagram grid where all your photos go. And then you've got your Instagram stories, which is a 24-hour story where after 24 hours, your content will disappear. So it's great to take a selfie of you at the desk, a photo of your cup of tea, that kind of thing. Okay. LinkedIn as a business platform, it's slowly moving to a personal platform. That's a great platform if you are looking to target a specific niche because you can build your audience. Say, for example, you wanted to target, I don't know, let's say NHS people, NHS staff. You can add people that work for the NHS and you can tailor your content to target them. Okay. TikTok, the big one that everyone's talking about. TikTok's fantastic for going viral and getting loads of views on your video. I would say it's the best place to upload informative content or content that's made to entertain. So it's very hard. I say it's very hard. You can interact with your audience, but it doesn't have as much gusto as what you would do on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. But it's great for going viral and getting your brand out there. And then the one which people wouldn't expect me to talk about is Google My Business. Okay, so Google My Business is essentially a social platform where you are showing people what you do. You can get your Google reviews, great for building your local brand because people can find you when they're searching for you. But what many people don't know is you can actually upload social media posts to Google My Business, and it keeps your Google My Business up to date with relevant content. So if you've never checked it out, go and check out Google My Business. You'll thank yourself for doing it.
Okay, that's brilliant because I think I've never considered Google My Business in terms of social media because people always talk about it when you set up your websites and make sure you have that up there. But I think it's a great tip. What about what is now called X or whatever it's changing its name to tomorrow? Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Twitter, it's a funny one because it's in a bit of a transition period where, for example, before you could only use a restricted number of characters. So tweets had to be very short, but they're extending that. So when he changed it from Twitter to X, Elon Musk bought Twitter and changed it to X. He's allowing more longer form content. We don't speak to mortgage brokers about this one because it's something that really needs to be done by yourself. Okay. So it's almost like it's a quick platform. You need to be there to respond to people. It would be great for a mortgage broker to use it to document their journey of building their mortgage broker business. But apart from that, I haven't. And please, if anybody's used Twitter or X to generate mortgage business and keep their audience informed, excuse me, please let me know because it'd be very interesting to speak to somebody that's done it. But it's just a great way. If you have got Twitter, you can post what you're posting on Facebook to it to keep your audience updated.
Okay. Because there's quite a number of different platforms there. So should a mortgage broker be focusing on all of those or say, right, actually, I'm going to focus on Facebook because I know my clients are on Facebook and because I think there will be some variations of trends on people's ages, etc. What platforms to use because I know some kids, my kids tell me I'm never going on Facebook. That's for old people. I don't know how true
Yeah,
that is.
exactly. And that's it, isn't it? So you've got to move with the ages. So I'd still
Yeah.
say Facebook still has a lot of juice left in it.
Yeah.
Especially if people, you might not know this, but Instagram have Instagram Reels and Facebook are now doing Facebook Reels.
Yeah.
And what Facebook are doing are pushing those Reels out to the biggest audience that any social platform's ever seen. So that is a great tool to try and pull people back in. But I would say you need to be on Facebook and Instagram. But if you are not using any platforms at the moment, focus on Facebook, get used to it, and then you can move on to the likes of Instagram and then TikTok. People think that TikTok is the answer to everything at the moment, and it's not. It's a great platform, don't get me wrong, but it's very hard to master, especially you've got to learn how to create content, but also edit content, use trending sounds, connect with the right people. So I would say focus on Facebook and Instagram to start with, but Facebook is still number one.
Okay, that's brilliant. And you talked about the different types of posts. You've got, the customer reviews, you've got stories of the week, and then sort of a personal post. So I think when I talk to brokers, what they really struggle with is what am I going to talk about? But bear in mind that there's so much going on in the mortgage market. So, and I think what I try to tell brokers is you want them to be the source of information rather than some of the consumer press that doesn't tell the whole story. And I guess they're trying to build their own personal brand, if you like, on social media as well. So because people buy from humans at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
is one thing I try to talk about is building credibility because what people want from the mortgage brokers is knowledge and expertise. So how can they really get that across through social media?
Okay, so the first point that you said is struggling to find things to post about. And it's one of the biggest pain points our clients come to us with in the beginning. They're like, Chris, one, I haven't got the time. Okay. But two, I just don't know what to post about. Okay. So what we have created, if we've created a cheat sheet of 7 lead generating content ideas. So they're pieces, websites, different tools that you can use to find information about what to post about. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll create a link. If you go to socialforbrokers.com and if you press / and then Jeff, Jeff, we will put that cheat sheet on there and you can download it from there. Okay.
Brilliant. Yeah.
What I'll do, I'll give you one of them on there. Okay. So this is actually a tool that people see every day, but don't realize would be perfect for content. So What you want to do is to go to Google, just go to google.com. And what you want to do is to search in there a specific term that you want to look for. So, for example, let's do first-time buyer mortgages, okay? And I'm going to do this whilst we're on the podcast here, okay? So I'm going to go to google.com. I'm not going to share my screen, but I'm just going to talk everyone through it. So I'm typing into Google, first-time buyer mortgages, okay? And what you'll have at the top, any adverts, things like that. And then there'll be a section called People Also Ask.
Yeah.
And what this is this, you'll see a list of 4 or 5 questions with a little arrow next to them. And what these are questions that people are asking in real time. Okay. So these are topics for your social media posts. So the first one is, what type of mortgage is best for first-time buyers? That is something people are asking. So go and do a post on that. Go and write out what you would say to a client if they asked you that question. Okay. Next one, how much deposit do first-time buyers need for a mortgage? These are all things that might seem really mundane to a mortgage broker because they're very low level. Okay. But to a first-time buyer, it will blow their mind with the amount of information that you'll give them. Okay. Best part is when you click on one of those questions, you'll see that more questions appear at the bottom. So I've clicked 4 times there and I've got maybe 15, 20 questions. Yeah. There's 15 social media posts you can create. Okay.
Yeah.
Another tool you can use is a notepad. When you are on the phone to a client, keep a notepad by the side, and every question that client asks you on their hour appointment, write it down. Yeah. These are questions that people are asking. For example, our mortgage brokers at the moment have been asked, should I take a 2-year or a 5-year fixed? That's a social media post. Because people are asking it on the phone, they're asking it when they're sat at home scrolling on social media. So if you can answer it to them, fantastic. So that would be the first thing. That's actual content that's mortgage related. Okay. The second type of content is, like you said, personal content. Build that personal brand. Okay. And I'm going to go into a bit of a depth here into something that I like to call brand anchors. Okay. Got to be very careful the way you say that. So what you have to say is try and find something that you are passionate about yourself, away from mortgages, and something, if somebody came to you and said, give me a 15-minute presentation with no prep about X, what would that subject be? Okay. So for example, my brand anchor is tea. Okay. I drink so much tea when I'm sat, and you can see, if you're watching the video, you can see I've got a cup of tea on the go at the minute with a branded mug. Now, what I do with this brand anchor is I talk about it everywhere. So if I do a presentation, I'll talk about tea. If I do an Instagram story, I'll talk about tea. If I'm doing a post on social media, I'll talk about tea. Okay. What happens is I kind of disassociate myself from business content. If I upload an Instagram story talking about tea, Jane Smith, who is a mortgage broker, sees my content. It's much easier for her to talk to me about tea than it is about my product social media. Yeah. So if I was a mortgage broker, Jane Smith, who's looking at me, who's a client, she might be really hesitant to ask me about if she should take a tracker rate mortgage or a fixed rate. But she's more comfortable talking to me about the colour of my tea. And that opens up lines of communication then. Yeah. So we have a chat about tea. Nothing might come of it. But then in 2 months' time, when her fixed rate's due up, who's she going to get in contact? She's going to get in touch with Chris Target, who she's already opened lines of communication with, even though it was about tea. Or she's going to go and Google another mortgage broker who she doesn't know anything about.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a great way to really start those lines of communication. And people then, for example, tell you a story. I was on a sales call yesterday speaking to a lovely lady, and I was talking to her about brand anchors and how important they can be. And she went, "You're so right. I know you as the tea guy." And that is such a big thing for, excuse me, for people, because it's so easy for them to start speaking about something that isn't the actual subject they want to talk to you about. So get yourself a brand anchor. Think of something really, really personal that you can speak to about. It could be your children. If you don't want to upload your children onto social media, it might be a sport or a hobby, but try and find a brand anchor that you can use, and you'll see your personal brand skyrocket.
Brilliant. That's really good advice, because then you can keep it. That's where you get that consistency in your messages, I think, and it's a way of standing out amongst the noise, as you've already referred to.
Mhm.
And I think there's a great tip about basically answering questions that people may be thinking. I think that's why people come to brokers, because they want their expertise. So
Mhm.
using that, using Google. I know there are some tools people use for SEO purposes, which you can use at the same time. And I think it's a great advice about just using Notepad, because brokers know what their clients are asking them, they know how they're feeling and thinking at the moment. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
uncertainty, and because it wasn't that long ago, the key questions of Google was, how much can I borrow and how much will it cost me? But now it's a lot more complex. And also you get timing when the Bank of England put out the changes in bank rate. You can see a real spike in activity online with our interest rates going up, or they come down. What's this mean for me? And now we've got property prices going down. So these are the questions that people will be pumping in, and which brokers can respond to. So I think it's great advice. Respond to what the market are asking, and then have that brand anchor. Perfect, brilliant. So we've got about 10 minutes left, Chris. So just to make sure there's some key things you want to get across. But I want to just touch on broadly. There's a lot of places I read that tell you use video. Video is more engaging than static posts. I don't know whether
Mhm.
you've got any data or insight that backs it up, or suggest the opposite, basically.
So video content it is more engaging. People will watch video because we have got such a short attention span at the moment. I think it's reduced from like something like 7 seconds to 5 seconds now, and the likes of TikTok and Instagram Reels have done that.
Yeah,
Video is fantastic, but I I don't say to people you have to do it, because people then kind of clam up then and go, oh, he's telling me I have to do video, so I'm not going to do anything.
yeah,
So I would only say use video if you're confident in doing it. Okay. And that isn't, don't do it if you feel nervous, because everybody feels nervous doing video, and the first few are going to be horrendous. So don't worry, just get out there and do them. But only do them if you feel comfortable doing them. You might feel more comfortable writing a really in detail blog post.
yeah,
Okay. I'm not saying everybody should do video. Yes, it's very good, but again, some people, we were talking about it before, during lockdown, you could watch more video because you were sat at home doing
yeah.
nothing. But now, when people are back at work, they might find a written post more informative for them. So utilize video when you can, but please don't think it's the be all end all that all these marketing gurus are going on about.
Yeah.
Because yes, it will increase engagement. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it, I'd rather you get out there and put a really great graphic out there or a really great written post out there.
Right. And one of the key points you mentioned there is people's attention span. People haven't got much time, and they're now, because they're bombarded with so many messages from different channels. So I've seen people use create videos, and it's about 3 hours long. So, obviously, you
Yeah.
can't put that on social media, but keep it short, I think, and same with your general post. If you use the words, don't put loads and loads of text in there. I would say, if you agree or disagree with that.
Definitely, with any social media post, whether it's a video, a graphic, or a written post, always make sure you make it like a newspaper. So you've got your headline. What
Yeah,
is the main message you want to get across to your clients? And then in the body of the post, or the written part, or the actual speaking part of the video, that's when you can go into more detail.
yeah,
But use a really engaging graphic. And what I would say is try and think outside the box with your content, because let's be honest, mortgages are boring. How can you make them more interesting? So the example I always use, and we've created this for clients in the past, is a mortgage broker. We create posts where there's like a massive dog on the post, and it's kind of like if your pet has more insurance than you, then it's time to talk.
yeah,
Now, when people are scrolling through social and they see a picture of a dog, they automatically think, why is a mortgage broker uploading a photo of a dog? And what has pet insurance got to do with it? And that piques their interest. That's the kind of imagery you want to stay away from the photos of the AstroTurf grass with the wooden box house or the keys. try and do something a bit more inventive. Try and think outside the box with your content, and always make sure that the headline is the biggest thing that's on the image.
Yeah. And also I'd add, I don't know how much you see of this, but stay away from talking about products and rates.
Definitely. There's always a compliance element to things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say stay away from concrete promises. So never say I can definitely get you a mortgage, because that'll
Yeah.
probably get you into trouble. And don't and definitely stick away from rates. Different networks will have different rules around social media. I'd always recommend speaking to your compliance network before you start any social media whatsoever. Make sure you've got the right disclaimers in place. And you might have to even get them signed off by compliance after that at that point, but always check with compliance.
Yeah, brilliant. In the closing minutes, first of all, how do you measure success? Because I know that people get obsessed with how many likes and shares and this type of stuff. Is that a real measure of success, do you think?
Okay. Insights is a big thing. How many leads have I got? How many people have I reached? I wouldn't worry about that when you're first starting out. Okay. Purely because it gives you a false sense of security. So you might put a post out and go, oh, I got 300 likes, but it's actually because it was a photo of a dog. Whereas if you put something about the mortgages out, you don't get as much engagement. So don't worry about the likes. And Instagram, perfect example. In America, they've started taking off the number of likes. So you won't be able to see how many people like your posts anyway soon, I don't think. Think about giving people value. Okay. And the more that you post, the perfect yardstick is when you start out and you start posting, you'll have friends and family come to you and go, bloody see you everywhere, Jeff.
Yeah.
That is when you know you're doing something right. Because if your family and friends are saying they're seeing your stuff everywhere, your audience and your clients are doing that as well.
Yeah.
And who's to say your family and friends aren't going to be clients anyway? So don't lean in too much into insights and facts and figures in the beginning. Just make sure you're putting out valuable content, because you could have a post that goes viral and reaches 10,000 people, but it's 10,000 people that never need a mortgage.
Yeah.
You could have a post that reach 100 people and 50% of that audience fixed rates coming to an end this year.
Yeah.
Which post would you rather have?
Yeah. No, there's a phrase which I use, which I've stolen from someone, which is, be easy to mind and easy to find. So I think, as you say, people
Like that.
don't, yeah, that's why I stole it. People don't require a mortgage every single day of the week. So you just want these, brokers want to be remembered. When they've got to remortgage or they're looking to buy a new place, you want them to become front of mind and then easy to find. Simple as that, really. I think
Like that.
keeping your post consistent out there, it just helps that. So they won't necessarily think, "Oh, I'm going to call Joe today," but it just goes into that subconscious. I think ready for the right moment. So, just to finish off quickly, is there anyone in the market that you would say does it really well? In the final minute, you've got 1 minute, I'm afraid, Chris. That's all.
Okay, so I'm going to give 3 examples here. One for brand. So building a local brand through color, through consistency, is Redditch Mortgage Advice. Okay. Yep. So have a look at them. They've got that consistent brand. We do their posts, but if anybody in the area sees navy or turquoise in terms of a color, they automatically know it's those guys because they're consistent with it. Second one, if you're looking for somebody who builds a great community, Lee Rowland. Okay, have a look at him on Facebook. He engages with the community. He's built a fantastic business around it. And if you're looking for somebody that smashes video, take a look at Glenn Russell on TikTok. Those are my 3 top companies I would recommend you taking a look at.
Brilliant. Right, I've got to finish off now, Chris. So thank you once again for your time. And if people want to get in contact with you, I'll post all your details on our website. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Cheers, then, Chris.
Cheers.